And welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm still identifying as Kathy.
Guys, welcome to episode 236 of More Than Dice. We apologize that there wasn't an episode last week, but that was all Gonzo's fault, so we're going to blame him.
Yeah, and I didn't get notifications. People didn't vote on that poll. Didn't see it until late enough that I couldn't change plans and suddenly stream a game, unfortunately. Maybe during Warfare Week, I'm going to talk to Gonzo, make sure he's not planning on anything going on that Sunday night. Maybe I'll stream something during our normal time.
So on that note, we will not be streaming on the More Than Dice network for the streaming of games this year.
Oh, that's right. That's right. 'Cause you're all big wig, Privateer Press and all.
Yeah, so we're going to be streaming on Privateer Press's channel. So the Warfare More Than Dice will be available for you to use this year. Yeah, I talked with Privateer Press and I was like, you know what? I don't want to make a Warfare Weekend Twitch channel because then I don't want to have to worry about any of that stuff. We may have to, but I was like, not this year. I would rather this go to Privateer Press, let them get all the views because this is their last hurrah of Mark III, and just let it go on that end. So you do have the channel.
It's more like a GTFO, guys.
Yeah. I've received a lot of people asking me questions as like, are y'all going to do Mark IV events? I says, well, we have open tables and we have, fun little quick scrambles that you can play Mark IV, but nothing major big.
Yeah, no. Let Mark III get its going away, even if we didn't necessarily all like it that much.
Yeah. So, let's go and get down to the business right now. We want to thank Turbo Dork for being a good sponsor. They are actually going to be at Warfare Weekend, and I did talk to them, and they will be they will have their 5 new paints there. So if you're looking to get that, make sure you go pick those up. We want to also thank Parabellum War Games, which Jim is painting up the Wadroon Raptor Riders right now, which are super legit models. They're pretty freaking cool.
Yeah, they're awesome.
And stuff. And they are actually sponsoring the paint and take area, so we'll have and the speed painting area. So there'll be some cool things that people can play with that are Parabellum. We want to thank Muse on Minis. Muse is still working on getting their network back up, so we can put all of our stuff on there. But there's been some pretty cool changes going on in Muse, so give them a little bit of more time. They're redoing their entire webpage and entire social media sections on stuff like that. We want to thank Midnight Heroes. We are a sponsor of Midnight Heroes, and you can get a discount code for all of them too. They will be at Warfare Weekend. He will have some product to sell, but he is definitely going to be doing a lot of cool demos and a lot of cool fun with his little chibi miniature game that he showed me, and I actually got to beta test some of the rules.
Oh, awesome!
So it was kind of neat. He asked me for my advice, which I thought was cool.
I should make Captain Mizzy take a demo for me.
Yeah, and interesting. It's supposed to be played on like a 2x2.
That's awesome because you can play that just about anywhere.
Yeah. Hey, Kathy. Miss you.
Hey,
love
Kathy.
you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. It was yesterday, but happy birthday. Got the Adepticon Fort Wobble. By the way, if you are going to Adepticon, are you going to Warfare Weekend and you didn't get your shirt, the Adepticon crew that is coming will bring some shirts that you can purchase from them. So you can get your own shirts. They asked if they could sell them. I says, well, I can't give you a booth to do it in, but if you walk around like a pimp with a trench coat and like, would you like a coat? Would you like a shirt? Would you like a shirt?
So, Gonzo, we need to talk about your education and upbringing. That is really not what a pimp does at all. Not even a little.
But we were joking around about it, But they said they will have some for sale for people to pick up at the convention. So if you find the Adepticon crew that's coming, get your shirts.
Yeah.
Who else did we miss anything? Oh, Midnight Heroes. Besides that, he's gonna have a couple other things, some new stuff, some new models. I think he's giving away like a Chibi My Little Pony in the VIG bag. I think is what it was. So
they're already pretty close to Chibi, so I'm actually impressed.
I haven't got a chance to see it. It was delivered to our local address there in St. Louis. So I'm like, I have no clue.
Wait, I have to ask because it's on the hub subject, Gonzo. Are you going to pick up the My Little Pony role playing game?
You know what? I talked to Brian about that, and he was like, well, if you like My Little Pony, you can do it. And I said, well, I'm not really a My Little Pony person, but I do like supporting my friends, so I won't be picking it up.
I might see if Devil Squid locally is picking up a copy, and if not, I might get him one as like a birthday present or something early, just so we can support.
Yeah.
You know, because I know he is a brony, and his girls love My Little Pony, and I think that'd be a cool thing for them to do together.
Oh yeah, especially if you got little kids that are into it, 100%. I can see that. But I think we got everybody. But like I said, guys, if you're coming out to Warfare Weekend, make sure you say hi to me. Walk up. I don't have a problem with it. Just let me know who you are, especially if you're someone in the chat that doesn't go by their real name.
Wait, hold on. People in the chat aren't using the real name?
Yeah. Well, what's funny is someone says like, "Well, hey, I'm so and so," and I'm like, "Do I know this person?" He goes, "Oh, I'm so and so in chat." I'm like, "Okay, woo, thank you." Type thing. But do say hi. Go have fun. Make sure you take care of yourself. Blah 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 blah. Blee 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 blee.
Get some sleep during the convention. A little bit of sleep. Take a shower once in a while. Eat food.
Yes.
Come on, take care of yourself.
Take care of yourself, people. You're still not in con-fighting shape, as some people will say.
3, 2, 1. At least 3 hours of sleep, 2 meals, and a shower.
But other than that, we do have someone that did pass away this week. Leslie, what was his last name? Oh man,
I think I remember it, but it's not. Let's say not in my wheelhouse.
It's not. He was a comedian, Leslie Jordan.
I had to look up who he was.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Leslie Jordan. He actually got very, very popular. I mean, he's been an actor and done a few things, but during COVID, he got really, really popular in COVID because his social media platform took off a lot because he was very entertaining on it and very happy and
awesome.
Just made a lot of people laugh during COVID. So
Legion, I do not know who that is either. Let me look that up.
Is it the Raskin and Bass? Yeah. I didn't know that Jules Bass passed away.
Rankin and Bass? Okay.
Man, those were some of my introductions into The Hobbit, for some people. The cartoon?
Judge me harshly, but I ain't ever seen those.
There's one of my favorites. So Jules passed away, man. Oh, okay. But both of them.
Leslie Jordan was on Boston Legal, not Jules Bass. That's my assumption.
Yes.
Well, context clues here, trying to figure it out.
John's trying to figure stuff out. Other than that, John, what are you drinking?
I have erroneously made a mistake. I picked up Jim Beam Peach, thinking it'd be as good as their cherry. It is not.
Oh.
It's very peachy, but it's a little too harsh.
I'm always worried about peach. I'm not a big peach fan, so when someone says it, I'm like, I got to be real careful with it.
I suggest peach brandy instead, honestly. It's been better when I've gotten that. But it's not bad. It's just a little harsh, so you need to mix it with something. I tried mixing it with peach juice, like out of the grocery store, but the peach juice is too weak. It just So I'm mixing it with Sierra Mist, and it's pretty tasty.
Cool. Jim, what you got to drink today? I see a glass there.
Something
reddish. I've got the cranberry ginger ale and the Kraken, cranberry and Kraken.
Oh wow, okay. I've not tried that. I'll put that on my list.
Neither me. I am doing some Remy Martin XO. Some good old cognac here.
Comes up being all highfalutin and shit.
I did hold my pinky out here. I'll hold my pinky out for you.
There you
go. Guys, we appreciate you more than you know. This has always been a great time. We enjoy and love doing this. Please take care of yourself. If I don't see you at Warfare Weekend, maybe we'll see you at Adepticon. If we don't see you at all, please just take care of yourself. We love all of you. Cheers.
Cheers.
Let's enjoy this for a little bit while Jim paints. I'm going to enjoy this for a little bit.
What's amazing me, and y'all can't see this, that he primed this model while we were just before the pre-ramble, and look where he is.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he put primer on it right as we were figuring out the screens, and I was working on all this stuff. I'm like, God damn it, Jim.
That's the power of the oil paints.
I mean, I also, yeah, like Xander said, skill is skill. I mean, I've seen Dave Taylor do that shit too, where he's just painting up an army so quick. I'm like, God, Dave, slow down. You're making me feel bad.
And of course, it's all in fun and jest. We all, Jim, Jim has worked very hard to paint like this.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's nothing but respect and in some cases awe, because I can't paint that fast.
I'm going to say that I've never tried painting with oils. I'd like to try it, but I would like to do it hands-on with somebody and not just get stuff and do it. You know what I'm saying?
How did I get some skill painting with acrylics first?
No.
Oh, damn. Got harsh in here.
But I'd always wanted to try it, because I don't want to spend like $50 billion on a bunch of oil paints, and then find out that I really suck and I just wasted a lot of paint.
Well, the great thing is you can just kind of get one of those, not the super cheap starter sets, but Gamlin has one, Winsor Newton has one. You can get these 6 and then tack on a couple of the other cheap essential ones. And believe it, when you got these things at $8 a piece, these self-spilling containers right here, that people just buy tons of these and either go through it in a week or spill it in a minute. These tubes of paint right here, these are about $6. And for most people, 10 generations of their family can use this. This thing, again, the self-spilling container that should it not spill by itself, you can also spill it in person if you would like, and pay $8 for the privilege, unless it's gone up some more. I don't know. It might have.
I'm going to knock on wood here. I have not spilled any of those in a very, very, very long time.
Oh, yeah. I'm super cautious about them now.
Yeah. Well, it's a thing that happens so often. When my buddy made a pot holder that has this giant bottom, and he's put the pot in it, I'm like, you know what? I'd make fun of that normally, but in this case, nah, you're right.
Oh, yeah. So I did finish the Khador jack. I don't know if you can see it very well. I always got the autofocus. And you can't see you can kind of see the icicles. Let me turn off the autofocus. Sorry.
I'm trying to see where icicles could be.
Hold on.
I mean, it doesn't look that off to me. That's how my eyes look most of the time, honestly. Things out of focus randomly, yeah, that's pretty much par for the course. Nope. I tried taking off and looking over my glasses to see if that helped. It does not. Out of focus plus out of focus equals in focus, right?
Negative.
That's correct. It does not. Apparently Gonzo is trying some advanced computer technique.
Yeah, I'm taking off the autofocus because you know how that is. Boom.
I never have the autofocus on here ever.
It always goes back to it.
Oh, down on the base, I see the icicles. Those are cool.
Yeah. All right. Let me go and save that so I can get back to it.
Oh, please, Xander.
So, what are we talking about? What do you say?
Can I take a moment to complain about cross-platform app launches? Look, as long as you don't blame Privateer Press, ain't their fault.
So I did it, and of course everything, is magnetized, blah, blah, blah. So whenever we talked about doing the shiny black, I'm going to let this sit for it, because if you look at it, I don't know, it's probably going to be, you probably can't tell, but this one I did the gloss paint and then sealed it with I sealed it, then glossed it, and I didn't like it. It was too shiny, so I sealed it again, and this has a little bit more sheen than this right here.
On camera, I like that a lot better, the one that you did the gloss on, because it actually reflects light and looks... Now, granted, you could paint to make it look like that, but it actually is reflecting light and giving it depth.
Correct, and that's what I was going to. I didn't know if it was going to show up on camera, but I was telling you because this one on the left of the model, it has no reflection, and
Yeah.
You can't tell. But on the right, you can.
It gets a little bit, but not super a lot.
Yeah. So what I'm going to do is when I get back from Warfare Weekend, if I'm still liking it, I'm going to gloss everything and then reseal it. And hopefully it'll come out like this side over here. But
or you could just buy the satin varnish, and maybe that'll work for you.
Oh, well, I could do that too.
Yeah. Get the right tool for the right job. Make Scotty happy.
But I had to recolor the rocks because they were too white. And such. But did the crushed glass snow, and then I dumped crushed glass over the top of it to kind of make it sparkle a little bit more. And then I did the icicles and tried to not make them too big, but I didn't realize how much they would shrink. That was the interesting part. I didn't know it was going to shrink as much as it did.
Yeah, but they look good. I mean, they don't look...
Yeah. Yeah, there was no issue. I just wasn't prepared for the shrinkage.
Yeah, and the silver comes out well. I didn't think the silver metallic would look as good as it did, but it came out pretty well. So
yeah, I mean, it came out decent. I'm not looking to run this in a competition. I just want a decent looking paint job on.
That would be great. An army painted like that would look great.
Oh yeah. I gotta take this off for a second. And then, like I said, I went to an event this weekend at my local game store and played in it, and I won the Elixia 4 model. The Mark IV version. You can easily zoom in, but
that cloak is really odd and doesn't make any sense.
I have no clue what the story is behind it, but I got to do some washing on it. But it's actually a lot darker than what it is here, which is interesting because usually it's a lot lighter.
No, I mean I think it has a lot of potential to pick up from highlighting and all, so it'll look good, but it's just weird.
Yeah. But I pretty much did nothing but contrast paint, except for like the armor. I'm dry brushing a little bit of metal on it.
That cloak is like the perfect for contrast. It's exactly what it's made for.
Yeah, what I did is I contrasted it black and then dry brushed a blue gray over the top of it. But then I'm thinking I'm going to go back and like hit little bitty parts of it to make it stand.
Coal black? That looks like maybe coal black.
No, it wasn't. I almost did the coal black, but there's a Scale 75 that is almost like coal black, but a little bit bluer, and so I was using that. But I'm going to take it and go back.
I'll need to find that because coal black is one of my go-tos.
Oh yeah, that's a legit color.
Yeah, I've been using it on some of the BattleTech models I've been painting and all, just trying stuff out.
But I need to highlight the armor up a bit more so it looks more metallic and such. But I'm going to work on the base because the base takes like the longest to dry. So I'm going to use one of these auto tipping bottles. Oh. And just, I need to dry brush it and then I'm going to no oil wash it and then go from there.
Fair enough.
But while we do that, and Jim is working on the Conquest Raptor Riders. Of course, he's doing it in oil. So it's legit, even better than me. Makes me look like poop, but he's awesome. I don't work as hard as he does. Type thing. So this was a topic till we get on the show. This is a topic that was brought up by one of our viewers. And it's kind of a hot button topic. Because when Josh showed it to me, I was like, okay, I get it. And I crack up at it because whether we like it or not, More Than Dice does influence people to do stuff. And
if you say so.
We actually do. We do have people that have bought product based on what we've said, and people that have not bought products based on what we said. But the thing is when we talk about this, we talk about it in the fact that we give an honest review, and we're not paid. We're not,
even if they give us the product for free, we're not going to give them just a good review because of that.
No, 100% not. I tell people
we'll give the company a good review of being like, look, they give out free product for reviews and stuff. That's a great company practice.
Correct.
That's a way to get people in there. And I mean, I've seen a lot of this, and I'll digress a little bit, but it's on Point of Raw. There's a guy watching YouTube called the Lockpicking Lawyer,
Oh,
and sometimes the lock companies watch his videos and use his honest feedback, because he is absolutely brutally honest, to make the locks better.
I love watching his YouTube channel.
Yeah.
I love, because he's like, these people sent me the lock. They said it couldn't be picked. 0.03 seconds, done. You're like,
Yeah, you look at the video like, unpickable lock, 2 minutes, 30 seconds, like,
he is very fun. I actually picked up lockpicking because of him. Just bought a little lockpicking set and training stuff, just because I thought it was interesting and cool.
When they had people move desks a couple weeks ago at work, I had to pick a lock at a desk. And I did, because I have lockpicks.
Yeah. I do have a set of, they're cheesy set of lockpicks, but they're just fun.
No, Immortan Joe, who doesn't show up too often on this, but he actually came to Mission Barbecue once and just handed us all lockpicks and had like test locks, and we learned a little lockpicking.
It's interesting neat.
At lunch. Yeah.
Like, this is like one of the test locks. It's a clear lock.
Yep.
And you learn how to pick it. And it's actually really neat and a really cool skill. Because they give you different varieties of locks you can try out.
Remember to only ever pick locks that are yours.
Correct.
Like your nose. Only pick your own.
Yeah. Don't get yourself in trouble.
Yeah. Anyways, but that kind of thing, he influences my buying of locks 100%.
Oh, yeah.
But also, when he posts a follow-up going, I posted this, lock in Ib's video, whatever, and the company, head of the company came in and thanked me and sent, this is their improved version. I'm like, I love seeing that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
honestly, some gaming companies will do that too. If they see something's not working out, they'll work on it. I mean, even the biggest of the big, Games Workshop, eventually had to cave to people calling Finecast shit, because it was. So yeah, the point is that we won't give someone a good review just because they give us product. We're not paid shills or anything like that.
No. Even and when it's given to us, we're like, hey, so and so gave this to us. Here it is. Well, let's give a review of it.
Yeah.
Prime example, and some of them people, we actually buy a product and then I'll review it and give it a review it. And even if it's a friend that was like, hey, I have this, blah, 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 will you review it? I will say yes, and I will give them my opinion. I says, I'm about to go live with this, but I want you to know what my opinion is before we go live. But the really big kicker about everything that I think it is we really need to learn how to give constructive and effective feedback.
Oh yeah, that's a hard one, and it's many layers to that particular thing. But let's keep it on the surface of miniatures products. The big one is when the speed paints came out. There was the whole big spiel about reactivation.
Oh, yeah, I remember
and
that.
Then people were like, oh, no, reactivation is not a problem. Then people were like, oh, it is a problem.
Made them useless for me.
Yeah, well, useless for you, absolutely. But, the whole thing is, how do you disseminate if that person saying it isn't a problem? Are they getting them for free? Are they working with the company, because maybe they're downplaying it. Maybe it's a little bit of a problem, but they're like, yeah, you're not really going to experience it most of the time if you paint normally. And are the guys who are saying it is a big problem, are they, GW guys or working with somebody else? It's hard to be out there and find out, because not everyone's going to be transparent about it.
You really, when you look at something that is a product review, one, look at who the person is that's giving the product review. That's like key number one. If I was reviewing, how well I wrote my RPG game, that's a major turnoff. It's just like, what?
Yeah, and more than that, know what they like and what they love, what they don't like. If I review something for Privateer Press, I'm already somewhat negative to them by the public view, so keep that in mind. But if I review something that's, Robotech based, I'm a fucking Robotech nerd. I'm probably going to love it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You have to understand that, it's like listening to me and Gonzo for movie reviews. You know what we like and what we don't, and what we're going to give a pass to and what we won't. So it's the same thing with any sort of review.
Yeah. Make sure you know who's reviewing.
Really surprised when I say something about a Green Star product. I say, what we thought, you like their products? I said, I like this, not so much. And here's why. And I have to, because otherwise they're not going to believe me. If they try it and it's no good, they can say, but you said this was good.
Exactly. And also, I mean, I consider myself kind of a gaming journalist at a point because I'm just going to tell the truth and report the truth. I don't want to give any falsehoods or anything like that. Give anyone the wrong idea about whatever we're talking about. Gonzo, looking at that wash go on, you probably should have used sepia or brown. It's just good. The whole model's too.
Yeah, as soon as I got it on there, I'm gonna let it dry and then I'll do a sepia over it. I'll probably re-dry brush it a little bit and then go with the sepia.
Just with the armor and everything, it just all becomes way too
too dark. Yeah, that's what happened whenever I was doing this one. Oh no, we're getting off a little tangent, but that's us. Is this the rock was gray, and it was too light, and I was like, okay, this one's too dark. Mm-hmm. So I will have to wait on that.
Yep, I'm looking at that for some of the models I'm painting, but I'll show that off on my hobby streak, hopefully this week.
Which I will have to say, by the way, I've been using, this is the cork that Jim recommended, the smoky, black, crumbly cork board, the really thick one.
Cork. That's what I used on all these bases.
Yeah, and that stuff is amazing for everything. And it is really, really good. I really like it. It makes it more rock than corkboard.
Okay.
It makes it look like rock because all of this is just one piece I broke up into it.
Fair enough. I will look at it when I've got models that aren't going on pre-made bases. But considering I'm doing Malifaux and I get pre-made bases for that, and then Marvel's got their own, might be a bit. And the BattleTech guys are attached to their base, so I'd try some of that. But
I'm sorry, anyways. I just got a phone call that came through.
Yeah. But yeah, so when you're looking at models and stuff, and even goes for even not just the high end, even if you're going to an Etsy store or something, someone doing 3D printing or something, you gotta take the reviews of that with a grain of salt. When you're on Etsy, make sure you're looking at the reviews and seeing if they're reviewing the store, another product at the store, or the product you bought. Because it's easy to get lost in there and go like, oh, they said this is great. And then you look again after you get it and it's not what you expected. Like, oh, wait, they bought a different product and said it was great. I mean, really, you can do it with anything, Amazon or whatever, but you gotta pay attention to all that is. The devil's in the details, so to speak. But yeah, so I think the speed paint one is probably the biggest one I saw. I don't know which one you were talking about when you thought about this in general, off the top of my head. But
that was kind of one of them, but yeah.
Yeah, the speed paint one, because you had one side saying, oh, the reactivation's not a problem. The other side saying, oh, it is a problem because if you do this or this, it's going to be a problem. And I haven't used speed paints because why am I going to go out of my way for a product I'm not sure and I hear alternating reviews on? I'll buy one eventually and give it a shot, and we'll see. But you have to be careful of that. We get a lot of popular influencers, let's call them, who have big YouTube channels. And as they get bigger, you just got to pay attention. I don't want to say they're being false because I don't know. But they could be being false. Once...
When I first started doing the oils and such, there was a lot of people that, let's just say they had vested interests in acrylics because they had acrylic paint lines, and they would cast as much shade on the oils as they possibly could, basically saying all these things that are not true because they wanted to scare people away from the oils because guess what? They had an acrylic paint line. So they were basically saying stuff that wasn't true because they wanted people to keep just buying acrylics.
Yeah, and you've got to watch out for that with everybody. I mean, I hate to say it, in most content, everyone's got, and I'm going to say this as an absolute, it's not absolute, only Sith steal an absolute, we're not Sith. Everyone's got an angle. Everyone's trying to steer you away. Now, again, that's not absolute, I can say we're not going to try and steer you away necessarily, but even if it's just unconsciously, we all have our own biases and likes that we're going to be lenient on or harsher upon. And you have to get to know the people who are reviewing it. That's why a forum like this is better. Like if you guys are asking about something, you know that I'm going to be nice on some things, Gonzo's going to be nice on some things, Kathy will be nice on some things, Jim will be nice on some things, and then vice versa. People will be harsher on certain things based on what it is. You just got to know that, because I mean, even if it's, like I said, it can even be unconscious. I try to be very cognizant of what I'm reviewing. Like, I actually tend, honestly, to pull my punches a little bit with certain ones, unless I've been drinking, because I know I come off as super negative. Like, if I'm reviewing something Privateer Press, I try to be much more neutral and just try and give facts, because I can be, apparently the Privateer Press guys think I don't like them, which is not true, guys. If you're listening to this, I don't dislike you. I just loved that game and didn't like where it went, so it puts puts me in a bad place overall. Answering Xander and
people, if I say this is not working, I try to use the word "it doesn't work for me."
Yes.
There's times where I have to say, okay, this is this much money, it should be better than this. Especially things like brushes, things like paint. I will say, look, if you use it in this way, it won't work, but there are other ways where it probably will work, and maybe it'll work for you. And just, if you're looking to replicate what I'm doing, it's not going to work for you. But if you have a different way of working, it may come up aces for you.
Absolutely. I bought Reaper brushes when I ordered from Reaper a bit ago. I've been using a couple of them a lot, and I have no major complaints about them. I'm just not sure I would go out of my way to order them again when I can get similar quality for similar price just by going to the game store and buying like Army Painter brushes. Like, yeah, they don't necessarily last quite as long, but they also are a little bit cheaper and a little more convenient just to go to the store. So you have to understand all that, and not everyone's going to call it like that. Some people are just a very black or white. Like way back, I don't know if it was actually way back in the Paint with Honest John days, we'd get Will Pagani on, and Will Pagani even said in the beginning, like, he's a very black or white guy. Things are either good or they're crap, and he doesn't mean if it's crap that it's not okay. It's just that from a purely competitive spectrum, that thing is not good. And I think we get away too far from explaining, forgetting that somebody might come in blind and explaining that, we look at it from this perspective. There's a lot of that. It's not just, especially in the gaming industry, it's not just products, models for games. You can get long discussions about if this model is worth the 4 points or not, Oh, it's bad, but was it bad, or is it just not as good as some other model that may not be what you look for? There's a lot of that, and we all have the same way. And, human beings tend to treat every discussion as a battle we have to win. And that's not really true. It's hard for us to avoid that nature and just deliver facts and then our opinions derived from those facts, our what we see, So you have to go ahead.
Well, the thing I always try to do whenever I'm filming something, especially if it is something I've never used before, I've never used this before. I am opening it up in front of you for the first time.
Yep.
And sometimes they get pretty comical because I make a dumbass out of myself. But I figure people need to see that, because if they go to use it and they have all kinds of problems and they see a video where someone was using it flawlessly right out of the gate, they'll say, "What's wrong with me?" I'll say, "No, there's nothing wrong with you, because I had all kinds of crazy things happen to me when I tried using it until I figured out whatever little key thing to make it work easier."
Like every beginner painting, here's your beginner painting guide to painting this thing. And the first thing you do is airbrush on, half the stuff. And like, all right, I'm here to tell you, fucker, airbrush is not beginner. Airbrush, you've hit intermediate. But, that kind of thing. I mean, and we don't think about that. It's hard for human beings to stop and self-analyze and think about how they're going to say something. Like I can jump into something and go, let's say the Catalyst Games Battletech models that I have a bunch next to me. Quality-wise, I mean, they're okay. They got some mold lines. They're kind of hard to clean. I can be very negative about that. Even with all the tools I have, they're going to be a pain. You're going to have mold lines left at the end of the day. but the price is pretty darn good considering you're getting probably 4 models for under $20 or around $20. And you're talking about models made for a tabletop game, tabletop game that's really not even a miniatures game. It's a board game that they use miniatures for because miniatures are cool. That'll change your opinion of something. And also, I'm going to be more positive because it's BattleTech, and I fucking love BattleTech. And I remember Ral Parth of BattleTech miniatures, and I'm here to tell you, for those of you who remember them fondly, they were not good comparatively. They were okay for the time, but man, some of them were tragic.
Well, people are almost convinced that I hate Song of Ice and Fire minis because as I'm doing, this was a series, I think it was about 13 and a half hours of filming. I spent at least 11 of that 13 and a half hours continuously bringing up how the mold lines were getting in my way. They were doing this, that, or whatever. Yep. And I say, look, it's just, for a lot of people, you don't even care. You don't even get rid of them. Don't bother. But they will have an influence, especially on miniatures like these that have a lot of dainty little stuff going on. Mm-hmm. Those mold lines can wipe out entire parts of it. Yep. And they need to know, and I'm not going to sugarcoat that. I say, look, these mold lines, difficult to remove, and they can really annihilate key parts of a miniature, but they're also indestructible. They're also super cheap. They're a lot easier to deal with.
They're one piece, right?
They're all one piece, and you can bounce those things around. They can take a real hit.
Oh yeah,
because they're essentially, most of them is bones plastic, and then kind of a high quality bones plastic, and what's a weapon is GW hard plastic. So you don't get the floppy weapons. You have the advantage of the durability, but without having, there's nothing to assemble. You could literally just take them out of the box and play the game there if you didn't want to paint them.
Absolutely. And that's important information to have. And, people will think you don't like it if you don't. And it's hard because we don't want to belabor the point of, oh, hey, I'm sounding harsh on this, but it's really just based on this. And it's hard to say all the thoughts because we're coming from a point of we have all the thoughts. They're all jumbling in our head. And we don't always think to communicate it because we're trying to communicate what we can think is the important part. We tend to assume people are starting from the same baseline as us, which is not necessarily true. So, you've got to take what people are talking about with a grain of salt. And you're going to have to do a little bit of your own research and all. I mean, just like any sort of news, reviews, anything, get multiple reviews. Don't just go, oh, hey, Gonzo said this is the greatest thing ever. I should pick it up. You got to figure out why he did. Get someone else. You'll get your group of people, of influencers that and you trust because they've consistently said things, and you've picked it up and okay, I agree 100% with this guy. Because you're going to get to that point, but you have to be cognizant of it, and it's hard. We just all want it done easy. I want to go, hey, should I pick up, this box set? Is it awesome? And people are like, it's awesome. Oh, cool. You pick it up and it's like, oh, wait, it's awesome, but it's not what I wanted. And if I did more research, I could have figured that out. But we want it all to be easy. We don't want to have to work to go figure out what hobby stuff to pick up. We want it sugar-coated and handed to us on a platter. But that's the reality is it's not going to happen that way for the most part.
And just like any Amazon review, when I look at those, I will go in and read those to say, okay, none of these were written by a person. There is no way, because they're supposed to be from California, and it really looks like some kind of a half-broken Greek. Why does it sound that way if this person is from LA or Omaha? They don't really sound, they're not writing like they're from those places. Gee, I wonder if that's not a legitimate review.
Yeah. And any place that's accessible by bots, you're going to have to really, really dig into that. It's like the joke movie-wise of Rotten Tomatoes. Rotten Tomatoes is to the point where it's just fucking useless for reviewing anything. Because between people who are just downing stuff because they don't like the company or don't like something related to the company or don't like the director, you're not getting real reviews. You're getting just terrible, terrible information. So you have to find something else. That's why that's why we have the rise of all these groups, podcasts, Discord channels full of like-minded people, because you need that place to go and find those like-minded people so you can find out about whatever it is you're looking for.
The other side of this too is I've seen, well, people basically make an active campaign to destroy companies, and these are just small little family-owned businesses that do stuff in the miniatures industry, and somebody spread around something and they tried to destroy this company just based on a whole bunch of hearsay and rumors by influencers. And there would be people that would contact this company that say, I'm an influencer, and if you don't do this, I'm going to do this to you. And that was kind of, I was not liking what I was seeing there. That was back in 2019 into the early part of 2020. And I said, wow, that was the first time I started hearing the word influencer. So my first experience with that word was not a positive one, because it was people kind of claiming this influence and basically trying to destroy a company as a result.
Well, yeah, it's like I would never consider myself an influencer. I'm going to talk about whatever hobby stuff I want to talk about. If you find good information in that, I am super happy, but I'm not necessarily looking to influence you one way or the other. Now, if you're in my local group, then we'll talk about stuff. I want you to play the games I play, but that's different. But yeah, anyone who claims to be an influencer is the people you got to look out for. I hate to say it, because those people who are looking for it, they're cognizant of it. Until Gonzo brought it up, I had never even really thought about the fact that we might influence people in what they buy. I just want to tell you, like, oh, I got the Transformers role-playing game. It's a lot like the G.I. Joe one, but I like the specific Transformery bits. I'm not trying to get you to go buy it. I just want you to know what it's about in case that's your thing. And it's, like we say, it's not like we were given free copies of this. I bought the collector's edition myself because I like Transformers. It's
what?
Just it.
You don't like Transformers?
I do. Hey, Banyan. Better late than never.
Hey, Banyan.
So it's that sort of thing. You have to understand what people are trying to sell, and you're going to have to a little bit judge for yourself who can who can you trust opinion wise. It's with all these things, any of those things. Same thing about foods. I hate this. It's all the same thing. You have people like, if not Brushhead Dave says, oh, hey, I like this. It's a little spicy and very flavorful. It's going to burn my mouth to a crisp. I cannot eat. But I know that. If Banyan says something is a little spicy and is perfect for him, I'm going to find it not spicy in the slightest. But you have to know that stuff. You learn that stuff. It is, in all things, you have to find the people who have opinions in the like with you, so you can know that they're looking at the same thing you're looking at. If I judge hobby tools based off my basic painting of Battletech models right now, well, you're going to know that if you're doing freaking GW models or Infinity models, that's not going to be what you're looking for, because it's a totally different type of model. While if you're like Jim and you've got some Game of Thrones models, Song of Ice and Fire, that are single piece also, well, then we got some crossover. Maybe some information will be helpful. But you've got to know that, and you've got to realize that not everyone, that is one of those, Banyan, not everyone is going to have the same opinion for everything. You might listen to Gonzo for his painting tips and then not listen to him for his movie tips, which would be wise. And you might listen to me for my movie tips and not for my painting tips, which would also be wise. But you have to learn that, and it's a lot of work. A lot of work we don't want to do, but you have to do it, because that's the only way you're going to get good opinions and good feedback. I like that a lot better, Gonzo. The base is way better than it was with the dark.
Yeah, I kind of soaked it up and then soaked it up.
I saw that. No, good job. That's definitely a better color for it. It stands out more. Doesn't So you've got to be careful, and the key for influencers is also to look at their channel. When you go and like, oh, cool, this guy really liked this thing. If you think about it, and we don't always, take a look at their channel and see how much of that company's things they review. Because if they review a lot, and they're all positive, there's a chance, and I'm not saying that it's absolute, it's by no stretch, there's a chance that they're giving them favorable reviews because they're getting stuff for free. I forget, there's some company out there, and I don't remember which one it was. Basically, if you took their stuff to review, you had to give them a positive review. You know, I don't remember which company it was. It was one out there. I don't remember which genre it was. Whether it was video games or paints or miniatures or what have you. So you just got to look at that stuff for yourself. You know, to a point, we all want the easy answer. You know, we're all looking for the easy answer because we all want life to be easy. The more parts of our life we make easier, the more energy we have to do everything else in life. But unfortunately, reviewing miniatures and paint stuff is never going to be easy. You're going to have to do a little extra on your own. And at some point, you're going to have to understand that, Jim's going to recommend something, and it's not going to be for you, even though he may have told you, like, oh, this works for me. It's great for me and all that. And you didn't hear it necessarily the same way, and you get it, and it's like, oh, this isn't for me. You're going to learn that. It's going to be hard. Sometimes you're going to have shit you don't want, and it's not right for you. And, you're good. No, go ahead.
There's another level of it, too, where because this is, especially with shipping and all the shortages of things that have cropped up now, I also have to, and even with the oils, I have to say, look, you may not be able to get this thing. Mm-hmm. There are times where I'll have to say, okay, in the U.S., you're going to maybe use this. But if you're in the U.K. or in the EU somewhere, you may have to use this instead because you may not be able to get this.
Yep.
So there are things where I have to say, okay, here's 3 different versions of this one product because maybe the Euros can only, or Australia, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Talk about satanic shipping prices and that sort of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
I'll have to figure out stuff that they can get without having to spend an entire fortune just to ship a 2-ounce box there.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's shipping prices are bad enough that on a professional level, some companies some end users are going, "Can you say this is not the thing it is, so I pay less when it comes in?" Like, no, I can't, but I understand. Yeah, it's gonna be important, and you're gonna have to judge that price too. Even if we say this is the must-have tool, if you're in Australia and it's going to cost you an arm and a leg to get, maybe it's not the must-have tool. And we're not going to think of that. We're not necessarily going to think of that. We're going to think of, Gonzo and I swear by this particular, product. But if you can't get it, you're probably going to need to find something similar, or there may not be anything similar yet.
It was one of the reasons why the 3D printing was so key for me, because now people anywhere could get their hands on that miniature because it's a digital file.
Absolutely.
And they could print it anywhere. And I try to keep things when it comes to paints and different things. I try to say, okay, look, and it's been valuable on Twitch because people will say, okay, in the EU, this company sells it here, or this company is doing a sale on this particular brand that you use a lot. And I'll try and relate that to other people too. And that's important information in a world where everything is global. Like, well, this game comes from Greece.
Yep.
It makes it less easy for me to get my hands on quickly instead of other stuff where I can just have it in a matter of hours.
Exactly. And like I said, Jim's thinking of that stuff. We're not always going to think of that stuff, but you have to stop. And if you're in a chat and they're talking about that, or if you're in a Discord or you're in a Facebook group or whatever, and someone talks about that, and the similar thing, it's easy to just go, oh, I don't need to worry about that. Stop and help them. We're a big community. And if we all help each other get our stuff, we're all going to have better models that are prettier because we've got the right painting tools for them at the right time. And we're all going to have more fun together, and we're going to make the world a better place. I know that sounds cheesy, like John's drunk. He may be. But it's true. Every little bit helps.
I mean, even in the Discord we have, there'll be people that'll say, hey, here's an alert. Jerry's Artorama has free shipping this much, or Dick Blick has a sale on Williamsburg, or Dick Blick has gone back to now it's there's a coupon. If you get this many paints, you get 20% off or something. And we'll share that information with each other.
Absolutely. It's like the the Badger birthday sale they do yearly or something? People throw that out there or something like that. Like, oh, cool. Let me just get something for that, maybe. We all help each other out. That'll help us get more stuff right.
Because this miniature's not a cheap hobby to have. That's for sure.
No, it is not.
Negative.
I noticed when COVID started how not cheap it was. I'm like, hey, wow, suddenly I have all this extra money. Where the fuck did that come from? Oh, I'm not going to the game store Friday night and buying fucking models. Shock of shocks.
I mean, I can only imagine what it's like if you were trying to get a sense of a board game. And is it something, I think, what was it? Oh, replayability. That was a word that was never discussed. And then it almost became one of the most important judgments people had about a board game. Could it just be played once and then you just put aside, never play it again? Because it's just, you've seen it all.
Well, yeah, because, back in the day when board games were, $20-$30, it's not as big of a deal. But you get Gloomhaven with its giant price tag. You're going to be like, is this replayable? Because that's important to me. I asked my buddies that. Renegade Game Studios had a discount on the next supplements for the G.I. Joe deck building game. So I'm going, hey guys, we played this. Are we going to play it more? Or should I just keep with what we got for now since we only played one of the scenarios? It's an important note to get. And that's why getting a review of a game is super important. Find the YouTube playthrough. That is nothing shows you replayability more than a YouTube playthrough. If by the end of the YouTube playthrough, you're looking at it going, this seems a little repetitive. Maybe the game doesn't have replayability. And also, and this is the harshest thing, and I thought about it, recently, having bought a new video game, you're going to have a barometer for how much you want to get out of your dollar. What is your dollar to time in use ratio? I know it seems really weird to have, but you should. I judge things by a movie. I'll still occasionally go out to a movie. I know how much a movie costs. So it has got to be better than a movie. So basically at that movie you're looking at, with food and everything, about, let's be nice and say $7.50 an hour. So it'd be about $15 to go out, see a movie, maybe have a snack with the movie. So you're going to have to judge that barometer. It might be different for you. You might be like, I never go see movies. I've got to have a better ratio. That's fine. That's you. You got to do you. You got to be whatever is financially suitable for you. But you're going to have to think about that. If there's a hobby tool that saves you, a little bit of time, is it worth it for the price? Maybe not. Do you need an airbrush? You don't need an airbrush. Is it worth the price? Depends on how much time you spend doing stuff that you could do better airbrushing. If you're painting one-off models all the time, something like what Gonzo's got in his hand, yeah, probably not. But you have to decide that. You have to decide if it is going to be worth it at the price point. I did that before I bought Banners of Ruin that we were talking about during the pre-ramble. I'm like, okay, it's $11 all the things, so that's like a movie. So if I get 2 good hours of solid enjoyment out of it, then it's a break even. It'll be fine. Spoiler, it was way better than that. But you have to have that idea. It's like some movies, like, hey, are you going to buy, and I'll say on DVD because there's been a couple times where once now, that Amazon has taken a series or a movie off its streaming service, and even though you bought it, you can't access it. It's in the fine print, people. They can do that. You have to decide, like, so am I going to buy, something like, let's say Avatar. Am I going to buy Avatar, the James Cameron one, on DVD or Blu-ray? No. I watched the movie once. I've not really had the desire to watch it again. So, no, I wouldn't buy that. But something like Top Gun Maverick, am I going to buy that? Fuck yeah, I'm going to buy that. Actually, Legion, I'm calling me out because I have an airbrush sitting in the other room and I haven't fucking used it. It's not even hooked up. It was a topic of the weekend at the hobby day. One of the guys was having airbrush problems, and we had to figure out what it was. But you have to decide that, and then after you decide what it's worth, you can listen to us influencers and everyone doing reviews to see if that product is the one you want for that price. Because we'll try and give it to you. I mean, at the end of the day, even the guys who are, I'll say shills, even though that's really harsh, shills are trying to give you an idea what it is, because even they don't want you to buy something you're not going to use because that looks bad on them, not just the company they're working with. But you have to decide if it's right for you, and is it going to be worth it? I'm sure Jim can tell you more anyway that super expensive brushes are great, absolutely great. But are they worth it for you?
I never use super expensive brushes. These are the most expensive I have. This brush is about $5. That's
but
it.
like for acrylic painters, like a lot of them swear by Winsor Newton or whatever, and those are really good brushes. I have a Raphael brush that's great. I don't use it very often because I don't want to have to replace it because it's an expensive kind of the brushes, but it holds its tip well. It's super good. But is it worth it me to do all my painting with a brush like that, knowing that I would have to buy more of them? Probably not. It's not like I'm painting award-winning shit. I hit tabletop quality. Maybe a little above once in a great while. So, but that's all things you have to think about. So you can use all these various parts together, since we're almost media section, sum up, know what the people commonly review to see if they are maybe giving a company a fair shake or being a little nicer to some companies over others because they get sponsored. Listen to the way they use it. Like Jim said, if it might work for him, it may not be what you need. And then also understand the price to necessity ratio, especially with inflation being what it is. We're all going to need to keep an eye on our expenditures and make sure we're not buying stuff we don't need. Gonzo, Jim, any closing thoughts?
Well, time is money. I talk about that a lot in the videos. And okay, yeah, this is what I do for a living. So time, it literally is money. But for folks who don't do this for a living, who maybe get an hour or two at most, maybe per day, maybe only every couple of days to paint, to do whatever, that's going to be important. Even if you're just choosing a board game, you say, how often do we get to play these games? How hard is it to herd everybody together? If it's a 22-player game, that as cool as it might look, how often you're going to get those players together? So it's not just miniature stuff, it's games, it's all of these different things. Is it something that looks fantastic? Like, I love the Battlestar Galactica board game. I don't know if I'll ever be playing it again as much as I love it.
Yeah, it's a heck of a thing. You gotta be ready to play that. I look at Axis and Allies that way. Yeah, Axis and Allies is great. I enjoy Axis and Allies. I don't have time like that anymore. It's an adventure. Or one of the ones that we always played and I loved was Advanced Civilization, the board game. Not Sid Meier's Civilization. That's different. But I mean, that'd be like a whole day. Like we'd get to go in at like 9 in the morning and like 9 at night. We're still fucking going. And I don't have time like that anymore.
And games that have setup where it's War of the Ring, are you better off just playing it on the tabletop, whatever? I think it's called Tabletop Simulator, right? Are you better off playing it there because it's all set up for you? Or do you want to take the 20 minutes to a half an hour to set all the cards and all the pieces and everything all up? Before you even started playing, you've already invested a half an hour.
Yep.
But if it's worth it to you, that's it. And it's all those different calculations, all are a part of it.
All we are is giving you more information so you can make your own informed decision. And that's what you should take everything as. Don't take anything as must do. It is all just more information for you to use in your calculations of whether you should get that product.
I always say, even every Twitch stream, your miniature, your way. Ultimately, it's only you need to get as much fun out of this as you can because real life doesn't want to be fun.
No, it does not. No, it does not.
It wants to be anti-fun.
Indeed.
I think that takes us right square to the media section for you guys.
Indeed. But Gonzo have to put his headphones back on before he knows it's time for the media section. No, he had to close the door. Now he changed his camera. Oh. Is it a doorknob or one of the handle things?
It's a handle.
See? You didn't pay attention during Jurassic Park, sir. No handles. Motherfucker Raptors could open it. No dice.
I usually lock it so Tyson can't open it. And he was like, I'm going to open this. And so I'm like, whatever. A little turd. No, I think really what you need to do is you need to consider the source of who's giving the review. Check out where they've been giving the review. Also, bot reviews, like what Jim was saying on going on like Amazon. I check out the highest reviews and the lowest reviews first, and then I check out the middle reviews to see what the middle reviews are. The middle reviews are like, minor stuff. I'm not too worried about it. I look at all of them, but I do sort them to see what, they by the stars or whatever. And really, you should consider the source on anything and everything you do, because there's people that do it just for the money and will do it just for the money, and they'll or they're trying to put down their product to make their product seem better.
Yep.
You got to be careful of that.
Yep.
It's just how this is. Yes, there are shitty people everywhere. But other than that, we're going to switch over to the media section. We already switched over, if you haven't noticed it. I really do not have a ton this week. Even though we've been 2 weeks, I did watch, but I caught up on a lot of stuff.
Welcome to Bizarro World, where I have 2 whole movies to review.
I mean, I have a few things, but not a lot. Not like 17 like I usually do. And we do, just so you know, if you are listening, we are going to do a spoiler review of She-Hulk. So be prepared if you haven't watched it all. Sorry, but that's what we're going to do.
Yep. Where do you want to start? I have 2 different movies.
I want to start off on a TV series that I started.
Okay.
It's still in the process, but and it's called Let the Right One In. And it's based off the vampire movie and TV show, or movie because it wasn't a TV show. Just so people
Isn't that
know.
based off like a book or a graphic novel or something too?
I have no clue. I know it was originally a Japanese-made movie, and then America did it, and then
I'm good with that based off a manga then.
yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. The Japanese version was decent. The American version wasn't bad either. The TV show, which is now going on, I think it's on like Showtime or something.
Based off a novel. It's actually based off a Swedish novel.
Oh. But it's not the book. It's not the movies. It's a whole new thing. It is based off of... It's more of expanding the world of what is Let the Right One In.
Okay.
It still has, a girl that's a young child that's a vampire. And... trying to have the father get her blood every night. But it's expanding on vampirism within the world type thing. So it's branching out, and I'm enjoying it. There's only like 3 or 4 episodes. But we, I don't want to give a review yet because it's been like this, up and down a bit, but it hasn't been bad. I will say that. It hasn't made me want to turn it off, if that gets it anywhere.
Well, that's a good start.
Yeah. So I'm going to keep watching it. I've enjoyed it so far. I like that they're expanding on the world of like more than just this one child. So that's going to be the interesting part. So why don't you give your movie review?
Which one you want? Do you want the movie I know I'm going to talk about, or the other movie?
The other
I'm
movie.
Talk about? Okay. I watched Uncharted. It's on Netflix.
Yep.
Based off the video game, which I've never played.
Which is a
In
great
fact,
video game.
My only experience with Uncharted is the fan film that Nathan Fillion made a couple years ago. And a couple cutscenes I've seen. This stars Tom Holland as Nathan Drake, the main character, but a young Nathan Drake. And then Mark Wahlberg as Sully, a very skeezy partner in all this. And then some other characters that aren't terribly... To be honest, the whole thing just fucking misses the mark. It's fine. There's some very pretty set pieces. There's some absolutely competent action. But at no point does it feel adventuresome like Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
It just doesn't. It feels like it's going through the motions. And I'm going to blame Mark Wahlberg. I don't think Mark Wahlberg was the right person for that role. And I think Tom Holland wasn't the right person for that role, because I feel like Tom Holland, being young and trying to make him a bit tentative and all, he comes off as Peter Parker. You know, you don't see, because I've been told that, and based on the cutscenes I've seen, that the Nathan Fillion fan film is what Nathan Drake should be. I've been told that's like 100% spot on, and he is so far afield from that, it's silly. So, I mean, is it a competent movie? Absolutely. Is it fine? Absolutely fine. It's probably not going to lose your interest over the movie. But it's not great. It never rises above, solid. I'm going to give it, it's to me the definition of a two space herping movie. It's fine. You're going to enjoy it. You're not going to lament spending the time on it. You are never going to watch it again. Ever.
Yeah, and they're planning on doing a sequel, and I'm like, why?
I would watch a sequel, because I feel like as you get Tom Holland more away from that tentative, where he gets more experience, I think that's going to help it more. I haven't seen the most recent Tomb Raider.
It's not even really like Tomb Raider. It really wasn't.
Tomb Raider got that adventure thing. It just missed otherwise. It was just a little too weird. I'm talking about the Angelina Jolie ones. I haven't seen the more recent one. It just missed the mark. You want it to be. It did not even hit National Treasure was good because it gave you those Indiana Jones vibes, and the cast had actual chemistry. This didn't have that. I feel like if you had recast either Tom Holland or Mark Wahlberg, you probably could have had a movie. I think Mark Wahlberg would have been the easier one to recast.
Well,
it's a little older and a little less Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, well, so the people that play the video game, myself included, I love it. It's one of my top, series to play. And when I looked at the cast, I was like, that's not who these people really are. Because Mark Wahlberg's character is like a 50-year-old, 60-some-odd-year-old man, and
Well, remember, they're doing young Nathan Drake, so he got to be younger. But I still feel like they need someone with a little more gravitas.
Yeah, he was just there, and the character in the game was a very distinct personality. Best way to put it.
Yeah,
and he did not have that character's personality. Even Tom Holland's character didn't have the personality of what it was.
And shouldn't have, because it's young, whatever. But it's still that's a problem. Why are you going into this? Everything doesn't have to be an origin story.
Correct.
If you give us Indiana Jones vibes, like, oh, this guy's like Indiana Jones, people are with you.
Yeah.
So, definitely, I would say two space herpes.
Yeah, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't good.
Story of my movies. Spoiler on the next movie.
Jim? Hello, Jim, do you have one?
Yeah, actually, because of this weird power outage we had here, because a transformer blew up and they turned off our power for hours, we knew it was going to happen. So we actually tested out this portable DVD player, and we put on Reign of Fire, which has been around forever. A long time, and it's one of those guilty pleasure movies, is that what you call them, where it's completely ridiculous, completely farcical, and yet you actually can enjoy it. It's really weird because there's people in there where they actually make you care about the characters, even though it is completely ridiculous. Like, why in the world did you not just do this? And you're, even as you're fighting all of that, why didn't they just do this? You just kind of are enjoying it for some weird reason. I've always wondered what it is. Van Helsing, that's another one that people hated because it's not taking itself seriously. And it's weird how sometimes a movie doesn't take itself seriously, but yet kind of actually can convey some semi-serious situations. And it made us wonder, okay, what is it about this? Was it just the people that they had playing the character? Was it because it was so comic book-ish that you could just sort of enjoy it and just kind of work past all the holy crap, why did they do that? A little bit like the horror movies, like the person's like, so I'm just going to walk into the shed that has all the knives in it and the psycho people. not thinking anything's going to happen to me. But there's just, I don't know, we couldn't figure out what is it, the phenomenon of that, where you can enjoy something like that more than maybe something where it's trying to be cast as a serious thing and it just falls flat. And we're not quite sure what is it where one movie can almost kind of succeed despite itself being silly, whereas another one can kind of try to push itself as too serious, as if you want to call it that, and it just falls short. Don't know what it is.
No one's been able to quantify what makes something a cult classic, and I would say that Reign of Fire is definitely a cult classic.
It's just hard to say. It's like, so you didn't just do this, but yet you could still enjoy that, whereas other things, we look at them and it's just because there's no other stuff to go along with the why are they doing that, you just focus more on the, well, why didn't they do this? There, you're not allowed to focus on that for too long because there's always something going on. That in some cases there's some genuine emotions going on too, which are like, you know what, it's weird. You would expect those type of things in something more serious, right? A more serious topic.
Mm-hmm.
So we just enjoy that, and just we hadn't seen it in probably 10 plus years. I don't know when the movie actually came out, but we had not seen that in a long time. And we saw it again thinking like, oh, maybe we won't like it, right? Because we'll just remember how stupid everything was. And we said, no, we actually sort of liked it better. Why is that? Maybe it's just because that, would something like that even be made nowadays? I don't know.
Probably still. I mean, they still make stuff like that all the time. But yeah, I'm not a fan of that movie, but I understand that some people like it, and it's all good. I'm like, okay. All the things that don't bother you bother me, and I'm like out. And we had a discussion about that, and I'm gonna jump in front of Gonzo here because I remember another movie because I'm terrible like that. We had a discussion of why the other movie I watched that I had forgotten about and is liked more by some people more than we were talking about. And the movie we watched was my brain stopped. Kung Fu Hustle.
Oh, okay.
And we're wondering, like, he's like, why do I like Kung Fu Hustle and I hate Kung Pao? Now, if you guys haven't seen Kung Fu Hustle is Stephen Chow. He did Shaolin Soccer and all. And it is super fun, but so it's more of an homage to Kung Fu movies, while something like Kung Pao is more of a parody of. And I think that's where the disconnect is. I enjoy Kung Fu Hustle. I don't think it's like amazing. It is definitely a good, enjoyable movie to watch, but it's what I like to call, after a certain point, after you've watched it a couple times, it's a clip movie where you're like, I just want to see the fights because the fights are fucking amazing. He definitely took it, but it is interesting. Like, once in a while, it's one of those movies like you'll watch clips for a couple years, then like every so often, like, I need to see this movie again all the way. His director's love of old films. Yeah. So watch that. I do enjoy it. I give it 1.5. It is absolutely ridiculous at points, but the action more than makes up for it. Also, I think at some points there's something lost in translation. But yeah, that movie is great. Even just watching the action scenes is great. They're inventive and fun and absolutely silly. Go ahead, Gonzo. I jumped in front of you because I'm terrible.
Oh, that's fine. I also watched, and it came out this week, recently, and it was Tales of the Jedi, which is a collection of short stories or short episodes of, best way to put it, are the prequels to the prequels. They're kind of describe, why did Count Dooku do what he did? How did he? Why did he do it? And they're pretty much the prequel to the prequels. They're done in the Clone Wars style animation type thing. I watched it. It's a quick watch. There's not many episodes, and episodes aren't very long. I enjoyed it. It was good. Did it need to happen? No. But was it okay? It was all right. If you like Jedis and you like watching it, go for it. But I mean, it wasn't, a must-watch for Star Wars fans. It wasn't anything that I didn't, know or feel, or it didn't provide like any great insight, but I enjoyed it. It's fine. I'd give it probably 1.5, maybe 2 type thing. So like I said, it wasn't great, but it's all right. There was something that came out. I don't know if anybody said it, but the new Benedict Society season started coming out on Disney Plus, and I started watching that, which has been pretty fun.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, you wouldn't watch it. It's so long. I did want to bring up something before we get into the spoiler and your other movie. Okay. I did notice, and I did see an article today, that the House of Dragon will have no new episodes in 2023. You won't get new shows until 2024.
Oh.
I'm like,
in other news.
I'm like, wow, that's kind of okay.
I don't have a horse in the race of Game of Thrones at all.
I just thought it was interesting because usually, you would bring it out,
And all I've heard about it has been the early part was good, and then they did a time jump, and everyone's like, nope, fuck, I'm out.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't have any problem with it. I was really surprised that they were going to take like a year off.
A year. They're going to take fucking 3 months off.
No episodes in 2023 at all.
Oh, in 2023?
Yes.
That's dumb, but okay.
Yeah. The new episodes won't come until 2024.
Okay. So. Well, again, dumb, but okay. I mean, they're trying to make it, but...
Go ahead and give your movie review, then we'll do the spoiler review.
Okay. Well, the other movie I watched, and I watched this last weekend, is Snake Eyes, G.I. Joe Origins. Gonzo has since reviewed this movie in the past, but I don't feel like he gave it a fair shake. His review was not very insightful as to why I shouldn't watch it. I'm here to tell you, it's not a terrible movie from a movie and action movie standpoint. It is competent action, a okay plot, and if you're just looking at it as an action movie, the acting is mediocre, serviceable. The only time it actually fails is if you look at it as actually a Snake Eyes movie, in which case it fails on every fucking level. Because first off, he speaks through the entire fucking movie. You're expecting at the end, the climactic battle, something to happen, and now he can't speak anymore. Nope. Nope. Just goes out, still able to speak at the end, and I'm like, all right, so you just failed on every fucking level. That's a good job. At least as far as Snake Eyes is concerned. Yeah, I don't know what else to say about it for that. I mean, like, it's fine action. It's terrible Snake Eyes. I didn't mind the actors. I actually like the actor they have playing Storm Shadow, Tommy.
Yeah.
He was fine. I feel like, honestly, the story should have been more about him, and you could have made Snake Eyes the background character. And that's the thing. Snake Eyes was made the way he was because he was the kid's insert character. When you're playing G.I. Joe battles, you're like, I'm fucking Snake Eyes because he's badass. He doesn't talk. I can project into that easily. Anyone can be Snake Eyes. Technically, even the girls. You want to be Snake Eyes? Thumbs up, you're Snake Eyes. Go to it. And that makes him a terrible character to base a movie around. In addition, they really shoehorned in the Cobra and the Baroness and Scarlet, and you're just like, for fuck's sake, really? And I don't envy them because Snake Eyes' story, his origin, is so far based in the Vietnam War that was the previous war when G.I. Joe was made. The modern G.I. Joe mythos was made 40 fucking years ago. And that hurt to say a little bit. I'm not going to lie. 40 years ago. Because the whole idea was he and Stalker and Tommy Storm Shadow were all in Vietnam together, and that gave them all a bond and all. And I feel like you could make that, but Desert Storm's a different type of thing, and even the Iraqi and Afghanistan wars are different things. You'd have to work at it, and they apparently don't want to work. I'm pretty sure that they took just a plot that had been made. Here's a story. You know what? We file off some serial numbers. We can make this the Snake Eyes story. Oh, fucking do it. So, yes, Andrew, some of these are just aging out. You have to look at it again and make a better story than this. Or at least make it character. It's just insulting that they would call it Snake Eyes.
Yes.
Like, of the 3 G.I. Joe movies, it is the worst, and it's not fucking close. And worst as a G.I. Joe movie. As a pure action movie, I actually don't hate it. So I'm going to give this 2 ratings. As an action movie, 2.5. It is a solid 2.5 space herpes as an action movie. Competent, enjoyable. If you have no idea what G.I. Joe is, you'd be like, oh, sure, yeah, watch that. That was fine. As a G.I. Joe movie, I'm fucking giving it 4.5. I'm not going to give it 5 just because shit could get worse. But 4.5, you're better off, if you want a G.I. Joe story, you're better off watching G.I. Joe Resolute or one of their animated series. Hell, watch G.I. Joe Rise of the Cobra or G.I. Joe Retaliation. Those are much better G.I. Joe movies. That's saying something. Glad it was free. I didn't pay money for it. If I saw it in the theater, I'd have been fucking angry.
Yeah.
But also going in knowing it was going to be shit helped a little bit. But yeah, I didn't expect to be this weird combination of solid as a movie and shit as source material. So there you go.
Yeah, it was not a G.I. Joe movie. And that's
Storm Shadow and Snake Eyes here were disappointed in that movie. They were not pleased at all. Neither was Timber. Live action movie set in the 80s could work, or if you actually spend some time working on it. Now, so they said in this, Larry Hama, who wrote the comic books, watched it and liked it, and he would, because it has a lot of the tropes and shit that he likes. But it just wasn't true to the character, and that is the damnable thing. So, warning before She-Hulk, spoiler?
Warning.
Yeah, if you don't want to hear about She-Hulk spoil the last episode, then get out. All
right, here we go. I'm gonna let you go.
I don't hate it.
Okay.
It is better than solid. It is good for the most part, but I realize as I have to stop almost every episode part of the way through because I'm worried it's going to go off the fucking deep end. They're writing a line, and they're currently writing it fine, but man, I see the potential for that shit to go fucking sideways real quick.
Yeah.
It feels like a She-Hulk comic book, and if you're not ready for that, you're not going to like it, and it's okay. It's not your fault. She-Hulk is a weird comic book. She smashes the fourth wall, and occasionally Matt Murdock. Honestly, I think the best episodes were the first episode, and then the one with Daredevil in it. Those were actually legitimate Zero Space Herpy good episodes. They were just enough, fourth wall breaking where, it was good. But the last episode, I thought it was amusing. Was not ready for that shit. As it goes into everything, you're like, I'm just like eyes wide going, the fuck? And then it goes through like, okay, I see what they're doing here, but the fuck? The whole Kevin thing, hilarious.
Yep.
It's still a bit odd. So I don't know.
When it started off and you were like, really, guys? We're going to... Okay. And then they went into the thing, and then once it was finished, the third, the 18th million wall breaking type stuff,
yeah,
it got back on track, and it was good.
Yeah, I think they should not do an episode like this last episode again. I think it was a one-off gag. It works once. Don't do it again. And I think they need to throttle back on throttle back on the, let's be honest, the fucking sitcom humor. Every time it almost gets there, and I'm like, nope. I go to something else, come back, and I watch the rest, like, okay, it was fine. At points, actually even very good, but also, if you're going to be a legal comedy, you should at least care about legal stuff. Like, it has bugged me since early on that Titania throws a fucking, breaks into fucking court and throws a fucking table, almost killing people. and she's out of prison super easy, and She-Hulk gets angry and does literally just property damage, and they fucking like maximum security prison.
Yeah.
It's not internally consistent. It's consistent with the Marvel Universe because those guys don't care about fucking laws. But it just bothers me a little bit because it's inconsistent within itself. And I think that's the main reason I'm probably going to drop it down to 1.5, maybe 2. I'll say 1.5 for now. The good was good. Actually, I mean, Charlie Cox coming back as Matt Murdock Daredevil was fucking great.
Oh yeah, the Walk of Shame.
Daredevil because he's awesome. And I feel like that episode and the first episode had the right balance of everything. I just feel like the other episodes were all a little off, and they got more and more off as they go on. Just like, ooh. But I mean, I'd watch the second season. I'd be a little worried they're going to go too far because sometimes second seasons try to just one up, and I don't want them to one up. I want them to throttle back a second. You know, it's like I liken things to the Charlie's Angels movie, then the sequel. The Charlie's Angels movie went to a level where you're like, okay, I'm good. The next movie immediately blew past that level, and you're like, I am completely fucking out. So, what'd you think, Gonzo?
You know, I had fun with it too. It wasn't a perfect series, of course not. It was interesting and delightful, the best way to put it. There were some really good fun parts. It furthered a story, but I didn't know that the She-Hulk comic was like that because I've never read the She-Hulk comic. But I was very happy with that. I'd like to see another season. Will we get one? I don't know.
Probably. It's got overall pretty solid ratings. I mean, and I'll be honest, some people don't like it because of the fourth wall breaking, which is fine. I understand that. It got a little crazy. There's a lot of people, and one I called out in particular on Twitter for his overall attitude, a lot of guys don't like it because it shows off those toxic guys. And I'm here to tell you, those fucking guys exist, and they're fucking like that, and it's okay that they fucking show it. You need to get the fuck over yourself. If you're a guy, and that scene, you know, when Pug's in there infiltrating, and that scene makes you uncomfortable, step back and take a look at your fucking life. Because it probably means you're that kind of piece of shit and you need to change. Not just uncomfortable because it's uncomfortable humor at points. You're like, you don't know, you understand where they're getting at, then you're probably fine. But, man, it does a lot of that, and it's fine. There's a lot of those guys. A lot of those guys are upset about the series, and they can go fuck themselves. Because, I mean, it's not untrue. I deal with it at work. It's not untrue. I see it. But overall, yeah, flawed series, but enjoyable. I think it'd be a better second watch around because you know where the humor is going to stop. So it's not going to be like, oh, fuck, are they going to go off the deep? Nope, okay, they stopped before. Because I'm always worried. They're always right there on that line. In one case, they even step to the ledge and look over and like, nope, not going there. I'm like, oh, thank God. But, no. Enjoy.
Yeah, I had a blast with it. Have no problem.
What you gonna give it for a rating? I think I gave mine.
I give it like 1.5, 2, but more closer to a 1.5 than anything else. Wasn't bad. I enjoyed it.
Absolutely.
Guys, we're pretty much done. We're pretty much on time. We will be sending you to the painting dad. He's doing some Warhammer painting. Guys, we appreciate it. Like I says, there's no official podcast next week, as that's just...
John's going to try and play some video games.
Gonzo's going to be relaxing.
If you have an idea, post something on our Facebook page. Hey, I'd like you to play this, if it's one of the ones I own.
Yeah. So, other than that, we will see y'all later. For More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
Still identify as Kathy.
Good night.
Good night.